What would you do if a cop leaned into your car window and said, "I smell something right now"? Those 4 words have put more people in handcuffs than any broken law ever could, and your next 5 words determine whether you drive home free or spend the night in a jail cell. Most people have no idea that the wrong response gives cops everything they need to tear your car apart. Before I reveal the exact words, hit subscribe so you can find this video again when you're pulled over. What I'm about to show you could save your freedom, and you'll want this saved when it actually happens to you. Here's what you're about to learn. The 5 words that shut down a search before it starts. The exact sentence that forces cops to prove their smell claim on camera. The power move that makes cops back off without a fight. And the one mistake almost every driver makes in the first 10 seconds that turns a warning into an arrest. By the end of this video, you'll know more about protecting yourself during a traffic stop than 95% of people on the road. Let me show you exactly why this moment is so dangerous. When a cop says, "I smell something," they're not making small talk. They're building a legal case against you in real time. In police training, they're taught that claiming to smell marijuana or drugs gives them probable cause. That means they believe they have legal permission to search your car without your consent and without a warrant. And in many states, they're right. But here's the thing. The claim only works if you let it work. Most drivers panic when they hear those words. Their heart starts racing. They start stuttering. They look nervous. And to a cop, nervous equals guilty. Even if you've never touched anything illegal in your life, your panic response makes the cop think you're hiding something. That's the trap. The smell claim is designed to rattle you and make you say something stupid. And once you say the wrong thing, the cop has everything he needs. Here's the first tactic, the 5-word shutdown. The moment a cop says, "I smell something," your response has to be immediate, clear, and calm. You don't pause. You don't look scared. You don't ask what they smell. You say this: "I do not consent to searches." Those are your 5 words. Memorize them. Burn them into your brain. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and in almost every case where the driver says this clearly and calmly, the cop has a much harder time justifying the search. Here's why it works. Even if a cop claims they smell something, your verbal refusal creates a legal record. It shows that you did not agree to the search. If the cop searches anyway, your lawyer can challenge it in court. And if the cop can't prove the smell was real, the search gets thrown out. That means anything they found cannot be used against you. This is 100% legal. You're not resisting. You're not being difficult. You're exercising a constitutional right that every American has. Bad way. Most drivers say, "I don't have anything in there," when a cop says they smell something. Then the cop takes that as an invitation to search, find something that isn't even yours, and now you're under arrest for someone else's mistake. Good way. Smart drivers say, "I do not consent to searches." Then the cop has to decide if the smell claim alone is worth the risk of an illegal search, and in many cases, they back off. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court every single day, and it works because it preserves your rights while putting the burden entirely on the officer to prove the smell was real. Think you could stay this calm during a real traffic stop? Let me know in the comments, because most people freeze the second a cop mentions smelling something, and I want to know if you'd be different. Here's tactic number 2, the smell challenge. Cops rely on the fact that you won't question their claim. When a cop says, "I smell something," they expect you to freeze. They expect you to get defensive. They do not expect you to challenge the claim directly. Let me show you exactly what to say. You look at the officer calmly and say this: "Officer, I don't smell anything. Are you claiming you smell marijuana?" Those exact words. Here's why this is powerful. You're putting the claim back on the officer. You're making them repeat it on camera. You're making them commit to the claim in front of their body cam, and that creates a record. If the cop says, "Yes, I smell marijuana," that's now on video. And if there's nothing in your car, that video becomes evidence that the cop lied or exaggerated. Former police officers have confirmed this works because cops are less likely to push a claim when they know it's being recorded and challenged. They don't want body cam footage showing them claiming to smell something that doesn't exist. Bad way. Most drivers say, "There's nothing in my car. I swear," when a cop claims they smell something. Then the cop takes the panic as confirmation, searches anyway, and finds something your friend left in your car last week. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I don't smell anything. Are you claiming you smell marijuana?" Then the cop has to commit to the claim on camera, and if nothing is found, that footage can be used to challenge the search in court. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. The smell claim works best when it's vague and unchallenged. The moment you make the cop be specific and commit on camera, the claim gets weaker. Here's tactic number 3, the detention question. This is the power move that shifts the entire traffic stop. When a cop says they smell something and you've already refused consent, the next move is to force the cop to make a legal decision. You say this: "Officer, am I being detained or am I free to leave?" Those exact words. Listen closely because this is critical. This question forces the cop into a corner. If they say you're free to leave, you leave. The stop is over. If they say you're being detained, they now have to justify that detention with real evidence. And a claim about smelling something, especially when you've already challenged it, may not be enough to hold you. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. Cops cannot hold you indefinitely during a traffic stop. They can only keep you for the time it takes to handle the ticket or warning. The moment they extend the stop to investigate something else, they need real suspicion backed by facts. Bad way. Most drivers sit there quietly when a cop says, "Wait here while I check something." Then minutes turn into 20 minutes, the cop calls for backup, a drug dog shows up, and now you're surrounded on the side of the road. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, am I being detained or am I free to leave?" Then the cop has to either let them go or justify holding them, and without solid evidence, most cops will let you drive away. Here's the reality. Cops are trained to keep you talking because the longer you talk, the more likely you are to say something they can use against you. This question stops the conversation and forces a legal decision. Most people already clicked away by now. If you're still here, you're in the top 10% of drivers who actually care about protecting their rights. Drop a comment saying, "I'm still here," so I know who's serious about this. Here's tactic number 4, the window control. This one is simple, but almost nobody uses it. When a cop comes to your window and starts talking about smells, your window is your first line of defense. You only have to roll your window down enough to hear the officer and hand over your documents. You do not have to roll it all the way down. You crack the window about 2 inches. You have your license and registration ready. You hand them through the gap. If the cop says roll the window down all the way, you say this: "Officer, I can hear you fine. Is there a legal reason you need the window fully open?" Those exact words. Here's why this matters. A cracked window makes it much harder for a cop to claim they smell anything coming from your car. The less air flowing out, the weaker the smell claim. This is 100% legal. You are not required to roll your window all the way down during a traffic stop. As long as you can communicate and hand over documents, you're following the law. Bad way, most drivers roll the window all the way down the moment the cop walks up. Then the cop leans in, claims he smells something, and now the search begins before you even know what happened. Good way. Smart drivers keep the window cracked and say, "Officer, I can hear you fine. Is there a legal reason you need the window fully open?" Then the cop has no easy way to claim a smell and the search never even starts. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection because it prevents the smell claim before it even happens. Watch what happens when you control the window. You control the entire interaction from the very first second. Now let's talk about the legal framework behind all of this. There are 3 court cases you need to know. First, Rodriguez versus United States. The Supreme Court said cops cannot extend a traffic stop longer than necessary to handle the original reason for the stop. In plain English, if you got pulled over for speeding, the cop can't keep you there for 20 extra minutes hoping to find drugs. That's illegal. Second, Florida versus JL. The Supreme Court said cops can't search you based on a hunch or an anonymous tip. In 7th grade English, that means a cop can't just say, "I have a feeling about this car," and start searching. They need real evidence. Third, United States versus Jones. This case established that police need a warrant for certain types of searches. In simple terms, cops can't bypass your rights just because they feel like it. They have to follow the rules just like everyone else. These cases are the armor behind every tactic I taught you. When you say no, when you challenge the smell claim, and when you ask if you're free to leave, you're not making things up. You're quoting the Supreme Court. Let's walk through a real scenario so you can see how this plays out step by step. You're driving home from work at night. You're going 10 miles over the limit. Lights flash behind you. You pull over. You crack your window about 2 inches. You have your license and registration ready. The cop walks up and asks for your documents. You hand them through the gap. So far, this is completely normal. Then the cop leans toward the window and says, "I smell something coming from your vehicle." Here's the wrong way. Most drivers panic. They roll the window down further. They start explaining. They say, "There's nothing in my car. I swear. Go ahead and check." The cop says, "Okay," and starts searching. He finds a bag of something your friend left in the back seat last weekend. Now you're sitting in handcuffs explaining to a judge that it wasn't yours. Your car gets impounded. You spend the night in jail. You hire a lawyer for $5,000, all because you said, "Go ahead and check." Here's the right way. The cop says, "I smell something." You stay calm. You say, "I do not consent to searches." The cop pauses. He says, "Come on, if you have nothing to hide, just let me take a quick look." You say, "Officer, I don't smell anything." Are you claiming you smell marijuana? The cop now has to commit to the claim on his body cam. He says, "Yes, I smell it." You say, "Officer, am I being detained or am I free to leave?" Now the cop has to make a decision. He can detain you, which means he needs real evidence beyond a smell claim. Or he can let you go. Without anything else to support the claim and with your window cracked so the smell can't really travel, the cop hands back your license. He writes you a ticket for speeding. You drive home. Watch what happens when you know your rights. The entire power dynamic shifts. The cop goes from being in total control to being the one who has to justify every single move. Here's the reality. Most cops won't push past a clear, calm refusal because they know it won't hold up in court. They're looking for easy targets who panic and hand over their rights without a fight. When you show them you know the law, they move on to someone who doesn't. Next video, I'm revealing what to do when cops bring a drug dog to your car and claim the dog alerted. Subscribe so you don't miss it because that video exposes the biggest trick in the entire police playbook. That video drops in 3 days and it might be the most important one I ever make. Let me recap everything fast. Say I do not consent to searches the moment a cop claims to smell something. Challenge the smell claim directly and make the cop commit on camera. Ask if you're being detained or free to leave to force a legal decision. And keep your window cracked to prevent the smell claim before it even starts. Your rights only work if you use them, and now you know exactly what to say. Hit subscribe so you catch that drug dog video before it drops in 3 days. Smash that like button if this just saved you from a future arrest. And drop a comment telling me which tactic you're going to use first next time you get pulled over. Stay